Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make champagne star cookies. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. Together we are going to be making a simple sugar cookie base, and we're going to be topping it off with an incredible champagne-infused frosting. I really think you're going to love this one, and yours are going to turn out just like the pictures if you bake along with me. So let's go ahead and get started. Now let's actually start with our champagne. In order to get a really intense champagne flavor into the cookies, we're actually going to be reducing it. So in order to do this, I want you to measure out 1.5 cups of champagne. And we're going to pour this into a medium-sized saucepan on our stovetop. Now turn your stovetop to medium heat, and we're going to cook this down until you only have between 1/3 and 1/2 cup of champagne remaining. Now here's why we're doing this. Champagne has a great distinct flavor, but if you use straight champagne right out of the bottle, you're actually getting a lot of water in there too. When we mix this in with the sugar for our icing, you're going to lose a lot of that flavor, and you'll barely even be able to detect that champagne was used at all. So we are going to intensify the champagne flavor by cooking it down and cooking a lot of that water out of the champagne. So let's go ahead and take a look and make sure this is reduced properly. So once you've cooked that down and you have below a 1/2 cup of champagne left, this reduction that you have is really potent. It has a really intense champagne flavor, which is going to be perfect for our icing. Now we can just let this sit and cool for now. We don't need it just yet, and we can go ahead and start making our sugar cookies. Now for these are really simple cookies. You are going to need 1 cup of softened unsalted butter, and we'll add this to a large bowl. Now add 3/4 cup of granulated sugar, and we'll use a stand mixer or an electric mixer to beat these together until they're light and creamy and well combined. This is looking pretty good, so now we're going to add an egg yolk. This is just the yolk, do not include the white in here. We'll also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And just stir everything together until it's completely combined. Next, you're going to need 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to gradually stir this into our butter and sugar mixture. This is a pretty dry dough by nature. The benefit of this is there's very minimal chilling required. But because of this, your dough is going to be looking pretty crumbly at this point. If you just keep mixing and add your flour gradually, it should come together just like this. You do, of course, want to scrape the sides and bottom of your bowl. I can see some of the butters collecting on the side, and I want my dough to be completely cohesive. So as I mentioned, this dough does need to chill, but just for a brief period of time. Now I'm going to transfer it to a piece of plastic wrap. I'm going to use my hands to form it into a nice flat disc. Make sure that dough is all nice and together here. And I'm going to pop it in the fridge for just 15 minutes. While your dough is chilling, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Once it's chilled, we're going to transfer it to a lightly floured, clean surface and use a rolling pin to roll this out until it's about 1/4 inch thick. If your dough is sticky, you can either return it to the fridge to let it chill for longer, or just dust your surface and dust your dough with a little bit more flour. That usually does the trick for me. Now I'm using this little star cookie cutter to cut my stars today, and I will link to this one that I'm using in the description. So we'll cut out our stars, and I'm just going to transfer these to a parchment paper lined baking sheet. The cookies should not be spreading any in the oven, but you do want to give them a little bit of space on the sheet. Make those cuts as close together as you possibly can, because you want to get as many cookies as possible out of this dough. And once you've made as many cuts as possible, just go ahead and gather up all of those scraps and re-roll them out so you get the maximum number of cookies. All right, at this point, your oven should be preheated to 350 degrees. So we'll go ahead and take our cookies over there, and we'll bake them for about 8 to 9 minutes, or until the edges are just beginning to turn a very light golden brown. These are looking beautiful, so I'm going to set them aside to let them cool completely on the baking sheet. And now I'm going to prepare my icing. Now the first thing you're going to need is 3 cups of powdered sugar. Now go ahead and melt 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we'll drizzle that over the sugar. And now, of course, you need your champagne. Now, exactly how much champagne you need is going to vary. I have never needed more than 1/2 cup. I usually only need 1/3 cup, but I'm just going to drizzle about half of that in for now. and use a whisk to stir everything together. Now you can see this is much too thick. It's just not going to work. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that champagne. And I'm just gonna keep doing this until we have the right consistency. Now, the right consistency is going to be when you lift the whisk out of the mixture and that ribbon that falls down, that drizzles down, it should be holding its shape for a couple of seconds before it dissolves back into the rest of the icing. This is looking perfect, so we are ready to dip our cookies. Now your cookies must be completely cooled before you dip them, and in order to decorate them, just grip them firmly by the base and just dip the surface into that icing. If you'd like, if the frosting didn't do a great job of spreading evenly over the cookie, you can use a toothpick and just swirl it up the sides of the star or wherever needed. This frosting is going to start to set up pretty quickly, so if you're using sprinkles, which I highly recommend, you're going to want to go ahead and sprinkle them over the cookies pretty much right away. Now the surface of the cookies is going to harden pretty quickly, but for the icing to harden all the way through, I like to let them sit out at room temperature for several hours, sometimes even overnight, just so I know that the icing is firm all the way through, just like I would with my sugar cookie frosting. And this icing does dry perfectly hard and you can stack the cookies. And that is how you make these super cute champagne cookies with a distinct tasting, delicious champagne icing. I think you guys are going to love these. They're perfect for New Year, they're perfect for bridal showers or any other kind of celebration. I can't wait to hear what you think of them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.